It has been over 1 month since I received the Kontrol S61 MK3 from Native Instruments, and I'm going to share with you guys how I've adjusted my workflow to make sure I was using this MIDI keyboard, and I want to use it full of its functions. So I'm gonna go through and share that with you guys, and also I'm going to address the issue with Maschine again, because I've still gotten messages about that and comments about that, so I'm going to address how that is as well. If you guys are interested in checking out one of these, there's an affiliate link in the description. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, before I dive too deep into these topics, I'm going to let you guys know that I am still using the beta of the software. So if you watch this in the future and I say something wasn't working and it's working then, or vice versa, that is why this is still a beta. I just want to be clear on that, because this video is going to be up here forever, and who knows what may change over time, because this is still the beginning of all of this. I have the Kontrol S61 right here. It's off the camera for this part of the video, and I really wanted to make sure that I used this keyboard in my workflow. It does not work with Maschine. I'm going to touch on that here in a minute. And for me personally, Maschine was my go-to. There was a point in time where I actually used Logic. I used Maschine inside of Logic and all of that stuff, and I just liked the workflow for a period of time. I made videos on it if you want to check it out on the channel, and over time I just ended up going back to Maschine because I felt it was faster. Now I decided to dedicate or be fully committed to making Logic my DAW of choice. I know people say Maschine isn't a DAW, but I was using the software to make my beats. Now I'm doing my beats all in Logic just because I wanted to use this keyboard to its full potential that it has at the moment, which is going to continue to grow over time. But right now, I just wanted to use all the features of it, because this ties into the Maschine issue. I see plenty of people mentioning how if this controller doesn't work with Maschine, they will not be getting it. Again, I understand that 100% as somebody who is a heavy Maschine user. Everything I've done has been based on Maschine for the most part. Now, when you have Maschine loaded up and you have your Kontrol MK3 connected, it will not be recognized. It will just be basically, all you can do is play the keys. There is no functions of your play assist, no settings you can edit at that point in time. To me, that means it doesn't work with Maschine. It works with Maschine, but you can do that, but you don't get the full features, and I really want to use those features. One thing that I loved about the MK2 keyboards were just the functionality with Maschine. It wasn't so much about the buttons and all of that. It's just the fact that when I plugged it in, the software recognized the keyboard, it locked in the scales, pretty much did what Complete Control, the software, does, except for it was inside of the keyboard. So I could set a scale for the entire beat, and it will stay in that scale. No matter how many sounds I load, it's going to stay locked in. That feature isn't there right now. That's my thing. I'm not really tripping on the mixer button, the idea view, all of that stuff. I'm not tripping on that, the solo and mute buttons. It was more so just from a software standpoint for me personally. Other people may have other views, but I just wanted it to have that same thing where I could use play assist and things of that nature, art mode, inside of Maschine right out the box. It's not there now. That doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. As I mentioned, when you plug it in right out the box, Maschine doesn't even recognize it. It's not even the icon that's there that usually shows you when you have a MIDI keyboard. It shows you in the right-hand corner. It's not even there when it's plugged in. So the keyboard doesn't do anything at this time. Outside of that, when you do use Kontakt inside of Maschine, you can use the keyboard to browse the sounds. However, there is no play assist features or anything like that. So you could browse and load, but again, that's it. You don't get the other features. So I guess technically, if you use Kontakt inside of Maschine, you are able to do that. But again, for me, I want the full features. And once again, all of that may change in the future. I'm still using the beta. I would be excited if that happens, to where I can use my play assist features inside of Maschine and also browse the sounds inside of the Maschine library. If you don't use Maschine, the browsing inside of Maschine is pretty similar to the browsing in Complete Control. So it would be great to be able to browse through your sounds, the individual one-shots and loops from the keyboard inside of Maschine. That's just what I want, you know. Play assist and also the browsing. And I think that would be great. At least like for me, I don't know about other people, but for me, that's what I want. And one more thing that I forgot to mention about Maschine is when you are using the Kontrol MK3 inside of Maschine, you don't have your transport controls, so you can't record, stop, play, none of that. So again, it's just a keyboard for you to play your keys. With that being the case, I decided to actually just start using Logic. I didn't really like making my beats in Logic all the time because I felt like it was a slower process for me sometimes, especially when it comes down to browsing my drum sounds and all of that. I found a workaround for it. I'll share that with you guys at the end of the video. But I decided to take the time to actually dedicate myself to getting back to Logic, as you can see on the screen behind me. Now, the Kontrol MK3 works perfectly inside of Logic. I haven't had any issues with it. And that is mainly due to the Kontrol software. And if you aren't familiar with that, let me go ahead and pull it up and show you guys what the software is like. I have Logic open. I'm about to go ahead and open up a Komplete Kontrol and just show you guys the software. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all should be familiar with it. Again, as you see, this is the beta version. Now, this is the browser. This is where you can import your own VSTs that may not be NKS ready. So an example of that would be something like the Triton VST, Analog Lab, Omnisphere, Keyscape. You can add all those here. And beyond that, once you add those, you can go in and you could find your scales that you want to set, you know, the different chords. You can map the keyboard however you want it. And then also you have art mode. So it's pretty much all of the features that I said Maschine was missing. And you cannot open this VST inside of Maschine. If you could, that would be perfect. That might be the workaround right there to make it where you can actually open up the Komplete Kontrol VST inside of Maschine. Me personally, I think that would be cool because that gives you, you're able to use all these functions that you're after. Maybe not the transport control though. I'm sure you guys could figure out how beneficial it is to have this software readily available when you're ready to go ahead and make your beats. Because again, you have your functions that you don't have with Maschine. Even with the hardware of the keyboard, you have the transpose controls like your loop, play, restart, your metronome, record, count in, stop, browser, plug in. And that's vital when you are in the process of making beats. At least it is for me. And even beyond the play assist features, when you load a sound up on the Komplete Kontrol software, you are able to tweak it right there on the keyboard. And that is great as well. Another way that I use the control hardware when I'm making a beat is I will have all my sounds loaded up. I will hit the DAW button. And from there, I will see the mixer channels of the individual sounds. And from there, I will pan and level each sound. That helps with the mixing process. And it just helps when I'm making a beat. If I want to turn the sound down, it's quick, easy. You don't have to touch the computer or none of that. You can go right there, go through the sounds and turn them up and down as you wish, and then continue to create. Now, one of the things that I do miss about the Maschine software is being able to browse your sounds. I mentioned that at the beginning of this video when I was talking about Maschine, how easy it is to browse your sounds, your instruments, your loops, one-shots. So when I'm making a beat in Logic, I generally make a beat using something called Drum Kit Designer. I hit the empty channel strip right here to add it. I'm gonna go right here and then I'm gonna open this up. So if I go right here and then go to step sequencer, I have the step sequencer. Hopefully you heard that. Now, the typical way to change these sounds is to go over here and browse through. But with those Maschine expansions and everything, the different folders, that could be too tedious and some of the sounds don't want to play right away and all that. So what I do now is I open this and I open up Maschine real quick. And now that I have Maschine opened up, I'll put it up here somewhat, make it small so you guys can see it. Usually, well, I'm not gonna say usually, I have two monitors that I'm running it off of, and it's usually on a different screen. So I'll go over here and say I want to replace this clap. I'll just type clap right here, and then I'll go to my favorites, and then let's just say I want that one, and drag it here. Bam. So that is the easy way for me to use my Maschine sounds inside of Logic. And you can go through and browse these specifically by the expansions and all of that. As you saw, I had my favorites. So this came in handy for me because trying to go through the sounds through the different folders and everything was giving me a huge headache to try and do that. So this works better. I like the flow of browsing sounds through Maschine better anyway, because it's all organized. And maybe if I took the time to add everything over here to this section of Logic, maybe that would work. But I prefer what I'm doing right now than doing all that, honestly. So I'm not gonna lie, I do miss the speed of making beats in Maschine, but hey, I'm using the keyboard and I'm having some fun with it. I've even used Polyphonic Aftertouch, and maybe I'll do another video on that later, but I'll show you guys a quick clip of me using it, and you guys can let me know what you think about it. So I personally haven't used Polyphonic Aftertouch too much, messed around with it a little bit, but for the most part, I haven't really dived too deep into it. Right now, I have Analog Lab loaded up with the 4-octave saw preset, and I'm just going to show you guys how Polyphonic Aftertouch works. So as you hear right here, hear that. Now I'm going to press it again, but this time I'm going to add pressure. I'm not going to take my finger off of the key. I'm just going to add more pressure to it and play around with it. So let's see. Can you hear the difference? So now I'll do it with some other notes as well. And again, not taking my finger off the note at all, just push down. And then from there, I'm just adding more pressure, releasing it, and just do it over and over again. And you hear the difference in the sound. Other than that, I could just go like this, and it does nothing. So that's how I look at Polyphonic Aftertouch. I'm going to dive deep into it, and actually in the browser feature, when you go into the browser to Complete Control, you can actually go through different sounds based on the Polyphonic Aftertouch. Let me see, where is it? Right here. So, sorry, my screen jumped. So it is an option you can use if you are interested in using Polyphonic Aftertouch. So Polyphonic Aftertouch is a great feature. I'm going to play around with it. Hopefully there's some pads I could use it on and evolve the pads as it goes on and just play around. Great creative tool. That is my workflow when it comes to making beats using the Kontrol S61. Let me know what you guys think. Are you still interested in getting one? As I mentioned, I do miss using Maschine, but I made the decision to change up my workflow just so I could use this. I don't regret it, but I do miss Maschine a little bit. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. And if you're interested in checking one of these out, there's an affiliate link in the description below. Go ahead and check that out. Appreciate you guys who support the channel. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you need help using Maschine, I have my video course up on teachable.com, and it's entitled How I Use Maschine. I cover everything from how I start a beat to finishing the beat. The link is in the description below, so if you need help with Maschine, go check that out. Hopefully you enjoyed the video.